You know, I was actually planning on making this video earlier, and so I was taking a shower, which, why my hair looks weird, it's wet. And sure enough, while I was thinking about this video, I got a nosebleed in the shower. Is that the universe telling me not to make it? Is that the ghost of the house saying, don't do it? Don't know. Maybe. So this first one, as you can tell, is going to be doll themed. I'm going to be telling you 3 stories that all have a creepy doll theme to it. Now, 2 things I want to say before I go on is that, one, the stories I'm going to be telling in chronological order, as weird as that is, but this house has been in my family since the 70s. We were one of the first families to move in here. It was my great-grandmother's house. After she passed away, it went to the children, so my great aunts and uncles, and then after my grandfather passed away about 10 years ago, me as in like my immediate family, moved in. So there's going to be times when I tell the stories that I'm going to say something like my Aunt Ida's house or my house, and it's the same house. It's this one that I'm in right now. The only difference is that we called it Aunt Ida's house probably 10 years and before we moved in, and then pretty much 10 years about when I was about preteen, early teenager, up until now it's been our house. So you're going to hear me call it both. Just know that I'm talking about the same house. Also, I'm not somebody who's scared of dolls. I'm not somebody who thinks they're creepy. I actually find them all very beautiful. And so, you know, the fact that some of these stories involve dolls, don't think that I'm one of those jumpity people that just get terrified of dolls already. I've grown up around them. They don't scare me. But that's what makes these 3 stories so creepy to me, is because it freaked me out what happened. So, without further ado, let me get on to the stories. Okay, so the first story I have didn't happen to me. It happened to my Aunt Ida, and I've heard this story many times growing up. My great-grandmother, so my Aunt Ida's mother, she collected porcelain dolls. And after she passed away, my Aunt Ida took over collecting porcelain dolls as well. So by the time I came around and was born and was coming around the house, it's our now living room. It was just full of porcelain dolls on the mantle above the fireplace, on the couches, on the tables. They were just all over the place. So they weren't freaky to me. I thought they were really pretty, but she had this particular baby doll that when you either picked it up or laid it down, when you moved it, it would go, "Mama." And I think its eyes would open or something, like, you know, a lot of baby dolls do. And, you know, she put it like on the table, on the counter or something, and it went ahead and kept going, "Mama," when no one was moving it. My Aunt Ida, being a very reasonable person, thought that it might have been broken. So she went to go ahead and throw it away, thinking, it's broken, I can't sell it, there's no point in me keeping it, especially when it's going to do things like that, so I'm just going to go put it in the trash. So they put it in the trash people came to pick it up, and later on that week, sure enough, she heard out of nowhere, "Mama," from the porcelain doll. So she found it after hearing it. She asked, I think at the time my uncles and my grandpa were living here. And so my aunt asked, "Did anyone bring this back in from the trash?" And everyone said, "No, you told us you were throwing it away." That freaked my aunt out enough that they physically took the doll and took it to a garbage dump to get rid of it. Because apparently they couldn't get rid of it any other way. The next story I have actually happened to me, my sister, and my cousin. When we were younger, we spent our entire free time at this house. After school, we came here. We spent the night practically every weekend. So this was our second house before we moved in. So Again, how I mentioned my Aunt Ida had dolls all over the place. She collected them. Um, there were these two particular ones that I never felt right with. They were about the size of like a 5-year-old kid, kind of short. And they were dressed like little farm people. So it was a boy and a girl. So it was like a little farm boy with a straw hat and a little girl with ringlet curls and a dress, and they would stand against the wall with their arms like this above their head, kind of like kids would do if they're like if they're playing hide and seek or if they're in timeout. So pretty much they look like this. Their faces, however, were completely blank. They were just blank white cloth where a face should have been, and me being little, that just made me really uneasy because all the other ones had faces. No issues with those. These just, that's kind of freaky, especially when the rest of them, it looked like a real person. It looked like a real little kid just standing there. So the creepy thing about these dolls is that since they were in this room with all the other dolls, we really didn't think about it. They didn't get in our way. But since we spent the night here constantly, we started noticing that they moved from the position they were in. Say that we went to sleep one night and it was against the wall. The next morning it would be knocked over. This wasn't a house that had animals in it. They weren't in a position like against the wall where someone could have walked in the middle of the night to get a glass of water or went to the bathroom and accidentally knocked over. No one got up in the middle of the night. Nobody touched it. Nobody went in the corner of this living room. The living room area is kind of out of the way. Like if you're not intending to go into the living room, you don't have to go in the living room to get to the kitchen, get to the front door. It's just there. Like it's like in its own little section of the house. So my cousin, my sister, and I, being the little detectives we thought we were, we went ahead and put the doll in a very specific place. Now, since these dolls did freak me out, I always put them like in the corner of the room because I'm like, I don't like you, go over here, I don't want to deal with you at all. And so that's what we did. We put them in a very specific corner. We had them facing a very specific way so that the next morning we all, agreed, yes, the doll was in this area. They were facing this direction. They were right next to this item. We mapped it out. We knew exactly where we put them. And in the morning, so say that corner right there where my TV and my painting is. Say it would be like on the side facing the TV. So that way, the next morning, it would be facing the door. That was the creepy part. Because you had to physically move it to get it that way, and nobody messed with it. So we actually told my Aunt Ida, we don't like these dolls, we think they're creepy, and at first she might have just thought like, oh, they're little kids freaking out, but sure enough, maybe a couple weeks or a month or so later, those dolls were gone because we did not like them because they were weird. They freaked us out so badly. This one happened not that long ago, actually, maybe about a year or so ago, because my niece is 4 right now. She has a lot of toys like most, spoiled grandchildren do, and she calls ghosts, goblins, zombies, at the time, she called them spookies. She was about 3 years old. So, about a year and a half ago. And that's what I told her. That's what skeletons and ghosts, they're called spookies, and they pop up and they go boo, and not a big deal. So she kind of associates spookies with being something kind of silly that it might startle you at first, but, they're nice and they're friendly and they're not going to mess with you. It's like Casper the Friendly Ghost. They're friendly spookies. Well, I was babysitting and we were playing in the living room, and she has this big dollhouse that she got for her birthday from somebody, and it was a hand-me-down dollhouse. It wasn't a big deal. So this is one of those toys that goes off by itself already, which, again, we're reasonable people. It's hand-me-down. It's probably really old. It could be the batteries. It could be faulty wiring. We don't know. But it'll go off randomly. In the middle of the night especially is when it likes to go off at. So it's already kind of one of those things that we know it does some weird stuff, but we're not gonna be the ones to say, hey, this toy is haunted. Well, my niece and I were playing with the dollhouse, and she didn't want to open it. She just, because the front of it opens up, and then you can play on the inside of the dollhouse, like most do, I assume. Well, we were playing with it, and there's like these little windows you can actually see through into the rest of the little house. We're doing something with the little toy. She didn't want to open it, which is strange because, like I said, it's one of her favorite toys. She always played with it. She always wanted it open. She was always opening and closing the doors of the thing. So we're sitting there playing with these items, and she just keeps staring at the dollhouse. Just staring at the window. This particular window, mind you. And I ask her, what are you looking at? And she says, there's a spooky eye in the window. So I say, well, which window? Maybe thinking, I think she's looking at the wrong one, and, the one with the toy is the one with the eye in it, or, oh, there's like a circle, and so it looks like an eye or something. And so I'm trying to figure out what she's talking about. So she points to the window that I noticed her staring at. And she says, there's a spooky eye there. I said, well, where is it? She says, it's just right there. I say, is it on a face? She goes, no. It's just an eye. Just a spooky eye right there. And sure enough, this thing's empty. There's no eye. There's no, like, bouncy ball with an eye on it. There's nothing with a circle. There's no toys there. So, mind you, I'm kind of freaked out because it's only me and her in the house. There's nobody else there. And I'm thinking she's just playing, or maybe she saw something that made her think of that, like on a cartoon or something. And so I ask her, do you want to open it? Do you want to open the house so we can see that there's no eye there? Because I don't see an eye. I don't know what you're talking about. There is not one there. So she just goes, no, can you put a blanket over it? So I said, do you want me to put a blanket over the whole thing? You want me to cover up your dollhouse? Yeah. So, I get a blanket big enough to cover it up, and right when I put the blanket over it, she's already in a better mood. And then she asks me if I can put the dollhouse up, so it's like not around her. And so I put it in this this little area where it can't open up by itself, and the blanket's not going to come off by itself. And her mood instantly improved, instantly changed. And that was so weird to me. That was creepy. Because, little kids say weird things, but it's one thing for a little kid, a little girl, to look at one of her favorite toys and just go, there's a spooky eye in the window. That's terrifying. I don't know if anyone else found these kind of creepy. I think they're really creepy. Ooh. But thanks for watching. I'm probably going to make more videos about spooky stories, and I'm definitely going to make more videos this October because I'm going to attempt to do Vlogoween. It just seems like a really fun idea, especially because I've been wanting to get into making videos for a while, so what time better to do it than my favorite month of the year. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!